Okay, in chapter 6, we're going to talk about commands, which is how you tell somebody what to do. And just like in English, in Spanish, commands in Spanish are just like those in English, except that in English we just have one command: sit down, stand up, dance, run, do your homework. In Spanish, you're going to have 4 different types of commands because they have 4 different U's. If you remember that the subject pronouns that we have are tú, usted, those are your singular U's. Then you also have vosotros, and you have ustedes. Okay, so since you have these 4 different U's, you're going to have 4 different ways that you can tell people what to do. You're going to have a way to tell one person what to do informally, someone that you address by their first name, a friend, small children, an animal. That's going to be your 2 commands. You're going to have another set of commands that you can use to tell people in positions of authority or that are older than you, like your boss, your teacher, what to do. That's usted. Then you can tell multiple people what to do. Like if I wanted to say, open your books, meaning all of you open your books, then I could use either vosotros or ustedes. Vosotros is supposed to be the informal plural and ustedes the formal plural, but it doesn't really work that way. It ends up being that if you're in Spain, you use vosotros to address everybody, and if you're in Latin America, you end up using ustedes. Okay, so I am going to run through what does your book have to say. So the first set of commands that they give you are actually they went ahead and showed you all of them. So like for example, the verb tomar, how you would tell someone to drink your milk. If I'm addressing my child, like if I want to say, Caleb, drink your milk, I'd say, toma la leche. If I wanted to tell all 3 of my kids, Owen, Caleb, and Lucas, drink your milk, I'd say, tomad la leche, or tomen la leche. Or if I wanted to tell my husband to drink his milk, someone, maybe I have a photographer at my house, or I'm going to get pictures made of my kids, and the photographer is, trying to get a good picture of my kid smiles, I might say, tome la foto ahora. Because the photographer and I have a business relationship, I need to be more formal with him. So you can see that it changes that there's a different way to form the command, whether you're addressing one person versus multiple people in Spain versus one person, but you're being formal versus multiple people in Latin America. And then these are some of the irregular forms for the 2 commands. So let's see here. How do I want to start? Let's start with the usted form. Okay, because the first activity that I've been given is the usted form. Actually, let's just do. Okay, so I'm going to explain to you how do we form the usted form. Okay, so here are a couple of other lessons outside your book that start with the formal commands. These are the usted commands. Commands are used when ordering or telling someone to do something. This is often referred to as the imperative form of the verb. So when someone says form the imperative, they're also saying make a command. So, compre usted el anillo, buy the ring. Haga usted la tarea, do the homework. Compren ustedes los libros, buy the books. Hagan ustedes el trabajo, do the work. By now you are well acquainted with the fact that Spanish is both a formal and an informal style of speech, tú, usted, or vosotros, ustedes. This distinction also applies to commands. Compre usted el anillo, buy the ring. Compra tú los dulces, buy the candy. So you can see that there's a difference in the way that you're telling someone with whom you use a title, a boss, an authority figure, someone you don't know very well, what to do versus telling kids, animals, your friends, what to do. So how do we form the usted form of the command? Informal or familiar speech is used among friends, coworkers, relatives, and when addressing a child, which I just mentioned. Formal speech is generally used to be polite or to express respect. For that reason, the formal commands are often referred to as polite commands. The formal commands are formed the same way as the present subjunctive, which we have not done subjunctive, so we're just going to go over the rules. You're going to start with the yo form of the present indicative, which is what, when I say present indicative, it means that you're going to conjugate the verb in the yo form for the way that we've been learning, because we haven't learned the past or any other tense. We've only learned the present tense. You're going to drop the O, and then you're going to add the endings. You're going to add the opposite endings. AR verbs are going to get an E for an usted commands and an EN for an ustedes commands, and ER and IR verbs are going to get an A for an ustedes command. So the following examples of formal commands use 3 regular verbs, hablar, comer. So I'll go through and actually show you this. Okay, so you're gonna, if it's an AR verb, it's gonna get an E, and if it's an ER, IR, it's gonna get an A. And I'll just put that over here. So the first step is that you're going to start with the yo form of your verb. So if we have the verb hablar, what we're going to do is write the yo of hablar in the present tense, which all of these, remember that you have 2 parts to your verb. You have a stem and you have an ending. Here's your stem, right? And here is your ending, okay? So the ending, when we conjugate, we keep our stem. That lets us know that speaking is going on, and then the ending just tells us who's doing the speaking and when. It gives us that type of information. So we want to keep our stem when we're conjugating. So when we conjugate hablar for the yo, remember it was habl, and then I added an O for yo, and I would have added an AS for to, an A for he, she. And if you don't remember this, then you need to go back and look at last week's videos or last chapter's videos that dealt with conjugation. So you start with the yo form, that's step 1. Then you drop the O ending, that's going to be step 2. So this, let's make it, that over here. Okay, so this is step 1. And then I'm going to have step 2. Which actually I think I am just going to get rid of this and just keep this. Okay, so step 2 says that I need to get rid of my O. So step 2 says get rid of this. And then you end up with okay. And then step 3 is you add the opposite ending. So this is an AR verb, right? So actually I'll just write it right here. AR verbs get to AR verbs add E. And so what you would have is hable. That's how I would, in the formal command form, tell somebody to speak. And so then if I did eat, I would have the same, I would have comer, which then I would make como. I would then take como and get rid of my O. And I would have comb. Okay. And then to ER and IR verbs add A. Okay, so what I would end up with is coma. Okay, and that's how you form it. So let's start with that, and then we'll come back to it, because how you form the affirmative usted commands is going to be very similar to what you do to the ustedes commands. They're almost the same. Okay, so here I've got la primera calle a la derecha. Fred was driving his car and got lost in San Salvador. Fortunately, he found a policeman who gave him directions. Complete their dialogue with the command forms the policeman used to guide him. Of course, he used the form usted to address Fred because they don't know each other, so they're in a kind of a business type formal situation. Okay, so oiga, por favor, ¿cómo puedo llegar al teatro principal? Sí, es muy sencillo. Le voy a hacer un mapa acá en mi libreta. Primero, tomar. So if I have the verb tomar, I'm going to use the usted command. So I'm going to write tomar. The yo form is tomo. I drop the o. It's an AR verb, so I add an e. Tome. Tome esta calle todo recto hasta el final. Like take the street all the way to the end of it. Allí, girar. Girar would be giro. I'm going to get rid of the o. It's still an AR verb, so I add an e. Gire. Gire a la izquierda, like turn to the left, en la calle Toreros. Seguir, this is where it gets complicated because you have to conjugate it. Seguir is a stem changer, so it would be sigo, which is the yo form. It's irregular. So the commands, there are going to be some irregulars, but a big issue right here with the usted commands is that if the verb is irregular in its yo form, then it carries out irregularity into the command. So you have to know how to conjugate these in their yo form. So the yo form is sigo. That verb goes sigo, sigue, sigue, seguimos. So then it's an IR verb, so I add an A, siga. Bajarse del carro. Okay, so we're going to deal with the bajar. Bajar, I make that an O. Bajo, I get rid of it and I put an E. And then I want to put the se on the end. In the command forms, you put the se attached to the command. It cannot go in front like it does with regular conjugated verbs. And then it goes where the accent would normally fall. So without the se, this ends in a vowel, so the stress is supposed to fall on that A. So I want to keep the stress there, and in order to keep it there, I have to write it in when I add syllables to my word. So bájese del carro y caminar. Caminar would become camino. It's an AR verb, so I add an E. And camine hasta ver el teatro a su derecha. And that's how you form the formal usted commands.